it's a question rather that I feel like sometimes because you've been talking a lot about the tutelage of the Atma, and I've been also wondering about being a disciple, and I feel like sometimes I have a bit like of an independent streak, like wanting to do things my way, trying to break out, and just like sometimes it feels a little bit, so I'm really wondering what is obedience, and what is true obedience, and what is true discipleship, and what does it really entail to fully listen to you as well as the Atma in my heart, So, yeah.
My job is very simple. My job is just to get you into the discipleship of the Atma within. Right? So if you refer to, when you say listen to you as well as to your heart, it is your heart which is primary, which is the important thing. This external seeming object for the moment is just provisional. Because we are learning, when we are caught up in Maya, then it seems difficult to really truly become a disciple of the Sadguru within, which is the Atma within, the Holy Spirit within. So it seems like we need an external appearance in the form of a teacher to come. But that teacher's only real job is to serve the Sadguru presence inside us. So provisionally, if you feel like you can't follow the Atma's guidance within yourself, then it is important to listen to one who is in service to that, and his only intention is to bring you to that. How to become a good disciple of the Atma? The more you empty yourself of me, the more you are empty of ego, which means you are empty of self-image, self-concern, and self-will. So ask yourself, what do you want? And keep that aside. Become empty of self-will. Then we learn obedience. What do you think is right? Keep that aside. Ask God what is right. Which way do you want your life to go? Keep that aside. Ask the Spirit within to guide you and to tell you the next step. You must become full-hearted about it. You see? Full-hearted. Just hand everything over to God's grace, to His love, to His light. Don't keep anything for yourself. You see? And as you progress more and more in that, then the better disciple of the inner Sadguru you are becoming. In the human condition, even for those who are coming into spirituality, we are trying to hedge our bets and juggle between what we want, what we think is right, and following God's will, following His way. So don't hedge your bets. Just let everything go. Why was Hanuman able to basically do miraculous things? Why was Moses able to do them? Not by their own strength, but because they were in service to God's will and they trusted, had faith in God that He is all powerful. So doubt did not cross their mind. But if you're going to mix love for God and obedience of God with self-concern, and what about me, what do I really want, then it seems a more tedious journey. So how to deepen in all of this is to just pray all the time. Deepen in your prayer, whether that is the quiet prayer of being open and empty, or that is the prayer in words, whether that is the prayer with lips or the prayer in your mind, or it has deepened to your heart. Don't leave His presence. And to be empty so that you can be in His presence is the best way to live. And there we learn everything. All knowledge, all truths, all love, all light comes in that. What do you need to be fully empty? Yes, to not grasp. But what do you need to not grasp? You need faith. You need courage. Because the mind has all the scary tactics up its sleeve. How will you be empty for God if you are full of self-concern? And the mind will just poke you a little bit and you're out of it. And you can never leave God in actuality. And yet, there is no other hell, according to me, than to have this sense of separation from Him, to have the sense of duality, is all the hell that we need. And to find His presence, to find His light, to find His holy fire in your heart, He's teaching you already. If the fire is burning, if the flame is alive in your heart, then all the avidya is being burnt, ignorance is being burnt. See, so the important part of the learning is to burn that is false. You can reduce this a bit. Just a little bit, yeah. So the point of so what happens in the tutelage of the Atma? We may be expecting a classroom. That okay, now I'm a disciple of the Atma. What time is the first Satsang? Like that. But primarily in the discipleship of the Atma, in his holy fire, it is the false which is being burnt. That is the way of teaching. It's all unfamiliar territory because we are used to learning in a worldly way. In the way of the Atma, he will guide you and he may even speak to you in words. But most importantly, in his light, the false gets repelled, it gets burned. You cannot hold on to the false if you are living in his presence. That is the highest way of teaching, which no human can do. As the light is burning bright in your heart, as his flame is burning bright in your heart, then naturally you will not be attracted to things which are selfish. You will not be attracted to grasping and collecting in the world. You will not be attracted to living in the way of me, what's in it for me. Kindness, compassion, love, all those start to seem more and more natural to you. Anger, hatred, selfishness, all of these will start to seem more and more unnatural to you. All that which we need to give up. All our addictions, all our afflictions are burnt in his light, are burnt in his fire. And so many of you have seen that those things which seemed so difficult earlier, those habits, those things which hold us down into a more selfish sort of state, now they get dropped. Sometimes they may seem a little tough, but not impossible as they used to. As a disciple of the Holy Spirit, you learn how to live with true love in your heart. With a deepening of self-knowledge. So with all of this, servitude to God, devotion to God will come naturally as well. So keep at it. How does a illiterate man like Nisargadatta Maharaj speak scriptural words? The Atma is using him. So that is why it is called the Sadguru within. So don't mix. The tussle, of course, in the human condition is to mix self-will and God's will. I mean, even that, if you're lucky, mostly it is, for most people, it is just self-will. The notion of God's will just becomes either just a fantasy, or we use a blanket conceptual understanding to say everything is God's will, without actually coming into handing over our existence to God. Only one who has, and I shared this with someone who wrote to me in the morning, saying, he said to me that, Father, you have said that to know even one thing is to know too much. You see, and for those of you who have not heard me say that, I'm saying that conceptual knowledge is ignorance and it gets in the way of true self-knowledge. And because the self is actually all there is, all knowledge is contained in self-knowledge. So to know even one thing conceptually is to know too much. So he said, then all my effort is not needed. You see? Because all effort is also an effort towards knowing and mental activity. So this is a very common mistake that all of us make even in Advaita. So that's why Kierkegaard said something very beautiful. He said that somebody who has spent their entire life in the quest for truth might at the end of that quest say it cannot be known. But there's a different flavor, a different perfume of that it cannot be known than somebody who comes as a freshman in college and says it cannot be known. Okay? So one can say it all has to happen by grace only after they've surrendered their entire life to grace. But to use it as an excuse for laziness or for the absence of faith or surrender, then can be a very beautifully set mind trap, which is all the right words of Advaita, but does not have the heart of the Bhakta. So we want the benefit of grace without the cost of discipleship. So it's a beautiful book by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, The Cost of Discipleship. What is the cost of discipleship? Everything that you're holding on to. Is it? To expect the benefit without handing over would be a very smooth and cool trick which nobody can pull off. Yeah. So that's why I said that we must put everything that we think we have at our disposal, and we become the non-doer very conveniently when it comes to spirituality. With our work, with our family, with everything else, I will do this, I want this, I need this must happen. You see, all those things are very much prevalent. But when it comes to God, we say, grace has to do it. Why should I inquire? Grace has to do it. Why should I pray? Grace has to do it. Yes, grace has to do it. But it is our job to set the table, whether the guest comes or not. So I watched the episode where Ma Shabri meets Ram. Yesterday I was watching. What happened? This lady, very young lady, her guru said he is very happy with her, so she can attain moksha and leave this world. Yeah? She said, I don't want to go because I want to meet Ram. That is what I want more than even moksha. I want to meet Ram. So he said, okay, now you next to that lake sort of place, you make a kutir for yourself, and there one day he'll come. So this lady, for decades after decades, Every day she puts flowers on the path. She collects the bears. Yeah? Every day. And maybe 50, 60, 70 years later, he comes. But when she collects the bears, she is scared that some of the bears may not be sweet. So she selects every day, after tasting, the sweetest one. So then after he comes, she's overjoyed, of course, and then offers him the way to eat. And Lakshman, being Lakshman, gets upset. Says, you're going to give a guest who's come to your house the jhuta base, which means that you've already eaten a bit of it, and you're going to offer that to a revered guest who's come to your house. And Shabri, in her devotion, didn't realize that this could be considered something bad. She said, I just didn't want him. I wanted him to have the sweetest ones. So Ram says that, like a mother tastes everything she gives to the child before she feeds him or her. Just like that, this mother has tasted it for me, and in that there is so much love I feel of the mother. And she must feed me these bears. So what a beautiful story of devotion. How many decades she waited. She was a young lady who became so old, but every day with full love she would set her kuti beautifully, set a path full of flowers for him to come. Such a beautiful story, so joyful, but also I was lamenting at my lack of faith. Looking at that story. Could I have waited that long? With the undying faith, with the undying love that God will come. What happens to us? Within a week, if we're praying and nothing happens, there is no sweetness in the prayer, we start becoming upset, saying, why nothing is happening? And here is one who spent her whole life. And when she started, there was no worldly Ram, but she knew that he will come. He was not born also. Yeah. So that kind of fire, that kind of faith is needed. I'm not saying that he will only come after 70 years. But the question to ask ourselves is that, is there a better life to lead? Even if it took 70 years, even if it took 70 lifetimes, is there a better option of a different life to lead than to remain in love and in devotion to God and service to God in this way? Collecting the bear every day for him to eat. So because we are in this instant gratification, fast food world, we made spirituality also like that. Do you feel that He will come, God will come? Or no? Does it still seem unreal to you? That is the question. What does your heart tell you? If you go with what your heart tells you, then you will learn to live in faith. Did Shabri say, oh, what about me? I'm getting so old. I can't walk so much. This is so frustrating. The other mistake we made, and it's a very popular mistake, is that we have taken all love, intelligence, beauty, light, grace out of God, and we just made him into like a scientific force of nature called consciousness. And although it is true that he is consciousness, but when we look at that as just that scientific sounding word, then it just feels like, okay, now when we go to this side, we have the Indian Ocean, when we go to that side, there's the Bay of Bengal, like that. So when we go within, there is my being. You see, my being is made up of the boundless consciousness. And I am that which is aware even of all of this. So we made it pretty lifeless. And especially if it remains as just an object of understanding. And that's why for about a year or more I've been reiterating this point, that remember that you're speaking of a living being, a loving being, an intelligent, the only intelligent being. Isn't it such a great discovery to find that he lives in your heart? Yeah. Who is the sage or teacher you admire the most, historically? Suppose it is Shankara, somebody may say some other thing. Now if one day you found that it is Shankara who lives within you, then but I am talking about God, who is the, without whom even the greatest sage like Shankara is nobody. He lives within you as the holy presence of Atma within. So remember that your mind wants you to fly higher in the world, while also restricting you from flying higher in the world. It plays this game. But a more worthwhile endeavor, a more worthwhile expedition is to see how deep you can go in your heart. What are the depths of your being? And nothing in the world can stop you from that. They'll try, the mind in all forms will try. Of course, your own mind and those around you. Everyone will say, enough, enough, enough. But this exploration, to go deeper and deeper, dive deeper and deeper, it only gets sweeter and sweeter. So don't complain, don't get irritated if you hear the word sweet and you say, no, but I'm still so dry, it's all arid. How many lifetimes have you spent? When is our right to complain? So don't waste your time in complaining and in entitlement. He knows what is best. He knows, the mother knows when to feed the child. So don't take on intelligence which you don't have.
Father, thank you for this shedding light on this particular one about being a living present, Father. That has always challenged me. I still don't think so. I believe that it's a living present. Please help me or guide me. How do we go from a
These things you will hear from me, you will hear from those who have come to the darshan of that in that way. But don't try too much to force your mind to understand or to even believe. You see, it is getting seeded in you as you're hearing the words in Satsang. And more as you deepen in His light. For now, you may say, yes, there is a sense of presence here. But that sense of presence doesn't seem like a living being yet. But it is only on that basis do you call yourself a living being. You see? I don't want to give you a conceptual understanding too deeply, but let's look at this. How is this bundle of food a living being?
can talk, walk, and it can move, talk, walk, and grow. That's the criteria.
Okay, so suppose you're not moving, you're not even breathing. You see, you don't have to go step by step. For a moment, you even stop breathing. Are you a living being? You may say that I am perceiving. I am perceiving. This perception doesn't go away when I am awake. So this I am which is perceiving makes you living, isn't it? So who is that? The I am which is perceiving is the only living being? Yes? Who is that? You will see that your life comes from it, from Him. And He is made up of just the absolute reality of the self. Whether we call it Nirguna Brahman, whether we refer to it as the highest usage of the word Shiva, the one who lives in your heart, your spiritual heart, is made up of this absolute purity. Okay? And the mind wants to make it a force of nature, like a river or an ocean. But you will start to notice that it is the animating force of this universe. It is the intelligence that runs this world. And we have seem to have gotten disconnected from that, although we really can't, but we seem to have gotten. And we seem to have gotten pledged our allegiance to a more limited form of intelligence called the mind, whose narratives are very different from what you know in the heart. See? So we are going to be disciples either way, isn't it? Either way, we are going to be either a disciple of our mind or a disciple of our heart. So whether you call it discipleship, servitude, following the will of, you will either know what is what because of your mental narratives, which are untrue, or how you are guided in the heart. So you will start to deepen in this the more you spend time with the presence within, the more you intend to serve it instead of having it serve us. The more love, the more devotion we have, you will see that there is nothing truly living except that. It is the one in whose light all is shining. So it is going to be the most beautiful, the most joyous Gurukul you could ever attend. And as you start to notice the beats of your Atma's curriculum, you will enjoy it so much. Because what happens, I'll give you an example. I said in Satsang the other day, the sweetness of his presence is so sweet that you can even taste it in the mouth. And I said, okay, I said that, it seems true, but I've never heard it from anyone, and I hope these kids don't think he's just losing it or he's completely gone. So then, after 1 or 2 days, or maybe the next day, I heard a video where a Christian father said it, Sri Ramakrishna said it, and Papa Ramdas said it. I never heard it before like that. And then, just randomly kicking, not even searching for it. This is how the Atma guides us. And I feel the beauty of it is even deeper. Because I feel the beauty of it is that when a devotee with love expresses like that, I feel that God makes it true even if it wasn't true earlier. And then sends you the seeming evidence. That's why I keep saying that past, present, future for him are nothing. They're just playthings. They are Lego bricks. And we are actually surrounded by miracles every day. And yet our mind finds a way to pull us back. What are the odds of something like this? Even this simple thing, not that something great happened, but even this simple thing, it's so beautiful, isn't it? But we become more and more sensitive to what it is trying to show us. The subtlety in our heart keeps growing. Inwardly you become like flowers, petals. The hardness starts to go away, and then you start to swing to his beat. So it's the most beautiful, the most wonderful way to spend this human life. Because if you don't taste it, it can seem like, but it sounds so oppressive. You see, couldn't Ma Shabri's story actually be compared to waiting for Godot? Like, who actually knows whether God will come? So I don't know if you've read or heard this absurdist play called Waiting for Godot, where these two are just waiting for God. You see, but they, of course, much more casually, they're just talking about it and things like that. So to the mind, that's how it seems like. You're just waiting for something to happen one day. Nobody's ever seen it. Nobody's ever really has provided any evidence of it. But more than half the world seems to be waiting for God. So it's not, but in reality, it is not at all oppressive. It's the most joyful way to exist. Filled with so much love that you never knew you had. So much insight about yourself which you would never get by reading things, by reading or learning worldly knowledge. So it is our insistence, it is our pride, it is our stubbornness to not leave our ways and to surrender ourselves to Him that keeps becoming our own stumbling block from leading this most beautiful life. And the most dangerous part of that is when you think you know some spiritual knowledge. Like that sweet man wrote to me this morning. So we can make positions out of the non-position. So I am telling you that even if Shabri, suppose she left her body and she never got the physical darshan of Ram, would you call it a wasted life? That is the question to ask. I feel that it is still the most beautiful life. If it didn't have even that ending, it is still the most beautiful life. That is the faith we need to have. Otherwise, somewhere our entitlement keeps creeping in. If you look at the night sky and you say to it, I have the right to meet you in my heart. You see? And every day you get more and more frustrated if it doesn't happen. Why am I not seeing the sky in my heart? You see? Do you have a right to be frustrated about it? No. Do you have any ownership over the sky? No. In the sky there are trillions of planets. And you are nothing. What you take yourself to be is nothing even for this tiny planet. And we are talking about that in whose light all this movie is playing out. And he says, but you should have come by now. Imagine somebody goes to their terrace every night and says to the moon, you see, oh, why didn't you come into my heart? You should have come by now. Then crazy. No? Why should the moon come to you? You see, what right do you have? But here you're hearing that the Lord of this universe, and to whom this universe also is nothing at all, that can be found in your heart just by a little bit of faith, little deepening of love, emptying yourself from selfishness, It's the best deal ever. Yeah. But we get too caught up in our mind full of self-concern. Because somewhere all this still sounds mythical. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Sunil. Let's see, I'm just following this, like Ramana, Papaji, and Moji from the past 10 or 20 years. Okay, so life was really good at the time. It's really, since I had some issues with psychological issues, I had to be here. Went to psychiatrist and get back, and I happened to meet Moji in the YouTube video, and everything came to settle down, all my fears and all sort of anxieties and all. Okay, so I left that since I was just moving around from one place to another place. So I thought that, okay, fine, I can control everything right now. And from past 6 months, I think it's getting more harder for me. The mind is too much heavy, right? And I'm not able to find the presence as such. Okay. So I think it's a lot of fear and a lot of bad emotions. Sometimes I just sit for 1 or 2 hours in the morning. Okay, so I'll be okay for rest of 5 to 6 hours, and it's bang back on. So I'm not able to inquire into me. I think since I had a gap of that, I didn't practice that much, feeling that I had done it. Okay, and right now it's really right here in my front of me. So I just want to know something about how exactly, whether I'm literally using my mind to do the inquiry, or I have still, I know that everything has been, like, I'm totally identified. Okay, I know the mind game as such. Okay, so I understand everything. So it's happening right there. But my presence is, I'm not feeling the presence as such. Okay. So that's what I just called up last week. So I just, my wife told this right here, Sangha right here. I just came here just, okay, I was all alone, just doing it. So let me, if it'll let me be in between the Sanghas, I think it really works out more, works. So, what exactly is, like, in the morning I had a sort of a panic attack as such. Morning, and after that I just went for some meditation as such, like the Moji's guided meditations. Things were really good right now. Till right now, it's fine. Okay, but
was there some trigger 6 months ago? Something happened, or
no? I had some issues from childhood, but somehow I was just managing. Actually, that's not an issue. And I did went to a psychiatrist a couple of times, but it didn't work. I know that. And then I came to one with Ramanas and I studied all those things. And I was just, sitting in the office and accidentally I saw, fortunately, I saw Moji's speech as such. From there, okay, so it was working fine. Okay, so, and I used to do the trucking and everything. I used to go for trucking, climbing and all. So 6 months back, I think so, in the middle of the hell, right? Started having fear from that, from 6 months on right now. Just having every day, like getting into the Papaji's videos and also doing that. But it's not up to the mark, I think so, for me. I don't know where I'm getting identified. So please help me out in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and welcome to Satsang. So let's make it really simple. No? To start with, let's make it really simple.
Okay.
Who is aware of the perception of this hand? Simply, don't worry.
Okay. It's me.
It's you are aware. So tell me something about that you. Can it be perceived? Can it be perceived? Can it be seen, or you have some quality to that me?
Yeah, I can see the hand. I can see the hand.
You can see the hand.
Yeah.
This eye that sees the hand.
Okay.
Tell me something about that one. One quality, one attribute.
I is simply there.
I?
Simply there.
You are simply there. But when you say there, you don't mean in this space, do you? Because I could say, where is that I? What would you say?
Yeah, maybe it's something really watches that.
Something watches, no?
Yeah.
Something watches. From where does it watch?
Well, I can perceive that to my eyes. Okay.
Yes, yes. The one that sees through the eyes, where is that one?
Something which I can't express it.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah.
Take your time. So in a very simple way, this is the inquiry.
Yeah.
To genuinely ask who is witnessing this world,
Okay.
who is aware of the perceptions of this world. You see, we can say it is I.
Okay.
You see? But this I is known through which means? On what basis do we call this I? Do we perceive this I?
We don't perceive the I, but it's simply there, watching it.
Yes.
And maybe I'm just getting identified along with that. I think it's I plus I. But getting out of that I is a problem for me.
Okay, so getting out of the I is a problem for me. So there are two of you.
Yeah.
One is the I, and the second is the one for whom this is a problem.
Yes, sir.
So which one is real?
Come again.
Which one is real?
Can you please proclaim once again? What is?
So maybe I try without the mind.
Okay.
So you said something beautiful actually, and it's very important to look at that.
Okay.
You said that this I, which is beyond perception, beyond time and space, in some way to get out of or to stay with, becomes a problem for me.
Yeah, you're right.
So there's an I, which you are, which is I.
Yeah.
But there seems to be also a me, which has problems.
Yes.
You see? So this me, which is independent of this I, which is perceiving, which is witnessing.
Yeah.
Which me is this? Does it exist?
It does exist, but when I just see my fearful thoughts and all sort of things, right? I can see that, it's maybe sometimes we somewhere when I'm doing the work, whatever it is, I do concentrate on that, I'll do it, okay? So when I'm just free, see, all these thoughts come in for no reason. I don't think so. I'm really sorry for no reason. I think I can see that. I know that I'm getting identified, but still the fear is there.
So let's break the process of identification into smaller parts.
Okay.
So that we can see if it's possible to not be identified.
Yeah.
So just be empty and allow a thought to come.
Okay.
Tell me if in the appearance of the thought you are already identified, automatically.
Okay.
Try it out. Just be empty. Allow the next thought to come. Tell me if in just the appearance of the thought, identification happens.
No.
So, if we break up the process of engaging with the thought into two parts, attention and belief, you are noticing that just with attention, nothing is happening actually.
Yeah.
We also have to believe the content of the thought.
Okay.
So when the Zen master said, thoughts are visitors, let them come and let them go, don't serve them tea, they were talking about withdrawing our belief from them.
Yeah, belief. Yeah, that's
The belief which causes the trouble.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm facing. That like earlier it was not there, so it was really good for me. So everything was peaceful as such, and sometimes it would happen, and that time no issues I would do. But the inquiry, which I think I should do it more. I don't think so. It's happening. Okay. So
just try for a minute or two to allow these thoughts to come and go and withdraw your belief from them and give me a report. I want to hear what happened.
okay, you're fine. So I can do that. Right. So sometimes I feel some sort of sometimes.
So to start with, just try this. Just to be empty means allow all thoughts to come.
Okay.
And just let them come and go. Don't believe, and if you find yourself believing it, don't worry, start fresh.
You get attached to that. You need to say.
Yes, so otherwise what will happen is you believe the thought and it happens to everyone. Then the mind will give you more thoughts, oh you should not have believed, he told you to not believe. You see, so you'll end up believing a lot more. So when you recognize that you got identified with something, start again fresh with the next thought, be empty. Nothing is happening.
Okay.
So you start getting some space in your system again, and then the inquiry can deepen. Right now it seems like you've run out of space.
Yeah,
The thoughts have scared you too much.
There's no more.
So once you start to find the space again by being empty as much as possible, then your inquiry, I will guide you more. Because some amount of peace is needed even for inquiry. So let's first come to that little bit of peace. Otherwise our mind will resist the inquiry with all its might, and then it will become even more difficult and we feel even more oppressed.
Too crazy.
Yes.
Too crazy, man.
Yes, exactly. So for now, just remember the Zen saying, thoughts are visitors, let them come, let them go, don't serve them tea. No matter what it is saying, you let it go. Some relief will come, you see? And with that relief, then more space will come for your inquiry or your prayer. It will tempt you, no?
Settle down.
Settling?
So mean to say that once I get settled down, so then you mean to say that to the inquiry, you mean to say like that.
Yeah. So just report back to me after trying it for a few days.
Yeah, sure.
Just to be empty, and then we see how it flows.
Okay. So it was really good a couple of years back.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is. I think its mind is doubting anything again.
Yeah. But one thing you must do is forget everything about the past.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm doing that. I think got totally like entangled with my mind. This thing, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm totally aware of it. I can see it as such.
Because the mind is trapping you with things about the past progress, how it was.
Yeah.
You see, versus now.
It tells that because previously, like I used to do all work and whatever it is. Right now, it tells that whatever it tells, it's going very negative. Whatever I want you to do, and mind tells that you can't do it.
So just empty, no past. You just started. You just started.
Right now, it's attacking me in all way of morning I do the meditation, the emojis thing every 1 hour, 2 hours. I'll be fine. Suddenly, like when I want to do something, it's really productive. Mind comes back once again. You can't do that. And so that really scares me, right? Okay, so and then I just go through master's speech and all. Then it subsides, but I'm not free. I'm not able to naturally be. That's my urge.
So starting now, just allow all these thoughts to come and go. Don't give them any truth value. You see, our belief is nothing but our assent to say, yes, you are true. You see, that is what belief is. So, when we give truth value to a thought, we take the narrative to be true, and in taking the narrative to be true, we take the actual truth to be false. The truth of God's presence, the truth of your reality as awareness itself. So it will tempt you again and again. But you just...
It's happening more right now. The more I see the do this meditation right now, hearing to the master as a thing, and sometimes maybe in a day or sometime it's getting more. I think it's resisting. I don't know which is resisting in that. I'm resisting it, or it's having its power to resist, where I can't see more deep inside. That's the problem, I think so.
Yes. So, this is coming from where now?
Yeah, this comes from my mind, I think so.
So if it's the mind, just let it go.
Okay.
It'll seem very true initially.
Yeah, of course.
You see, it'll seem very true. This is my condition, it's the truth.
Yeah.
But as you learn to just let them go, then you will find that there's so much peace and so much spaciousness within you. You see? It is the lack of that spaciousness which is making you helter-skelter, making you...
Previously it was there, it's let go. It was there. But right now, I just look back and see that a couple of years back I used to do it. It's really cool, it's really peaceful. And right now, it has become the problem for me, which is not letting it go.
Try for a couple of days.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work, we'll give you an alternative solution. Don't worry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the key is to not resist. The key is to not resist. We say the images should not come, thoughts should not come. I'm saying let it all come. Let it all come. And let it all go. Don't grasp at anything. Its natural nature is to come and go. When we grasp, we suffer. So just let all images come. It can seem scary initially because we feel that, oh, I don't know what it will show me. You see? But so many of these children also went through this phase, and I said to them, the mind is not infinite. Only your Atma is infinite. You see? So you start to say, bring it on. Okay, tell me what you want to show me. You welcome it. Then you see in 5-10 minutes it runs out of images. Yeah, I just say you're welcome. Do whatever you want. But I'm not going to grab at you. See? Otherwise, it has made us into this fearful sort of state where it has scared us with what it can show us. Nothing. It's just images. Nothing will happen. Don't worry. Sometimes it happens that it seems like there's a lot of heat in our life. Just something, people, how they are, you see, all this stuff. And the mind tells us, how can the world be so unfair? How can God be so unfair? All of these things. You see? But actually that burning is important, it's good. When we run out of moves in the world, then we turn towards God. And then your love for God, your strength in God becomes so much that no power outside can shake you from it. So does that mean that we should continue to be in oppressive situations? Yes, in a way that till it brings you to God's guidance within. And then God will guide you as to whether something has to change or you have to remain. Can sound like tough medicine. So instead of running outwardly, run inside. Then you don't leave out of fear. You leave also out of love. I know it's unusual in this modern world to speak like that. In the sense that if you're in any oppressive situation, some people may feel like they have a bad marriage, some bad partnership, some bad work situation, something. You see? So even that, you can leave, but leave from the guidance of your heart, leave from the presence of love. Till then, instead of trying to run on the outside, because that won't solve anything, run deeper inside. It can seem tough, but only when we are squeezed like that do we truly go. Otherwise, we still, so these situations where our egoic throat is being squeezed is actually very helpful.
The experience of presence and whatever you have shown, right? The faith shakes sometime because it feels like I have not yet paid the price for it.
I want it.
Not yet paid enough price for it.
You haven't
it's
paid.
Like it's got free from you.
Yes.
Then it's like, is it true? Because we hear story again and again, like people are.
Sometimes I feel like God is making a mistake. How can it come to me?
It's not worth.
When I see this life also, I feel like there's so many. I look at all of you, and I see that you're so much more spiritual than I ever was. How did He give this fool with His presence? I just don't get it actually. Same thing.
Back,
Yes. It's okay.
Okay. Then same thing, it's nothing change everything. Our whole dimension change and just back on the
I understand that. Actually, there are many brothers and sisters in the Sangha, in Guruji Sangha also, that I know that had awakening experiences, had the experience of their true nature. You see? But the thing is that the mind doesn't give up after that. It tries even harder. You see? So for us to stabilize in that, you see, we need to continue very deeply in our satsang. And just stay with this and you'll be helped, don't worry.
Another thing is why it shakes up for me is, you said at some point of time God will, or circumstance will squeeze you, or God will slap you, but my life is literally like very kunkuna. Nothing great has happened ever. So, or nothing worse has also happened ever. So again, keep on doubting that, so dull, so simple, and then how can it happen? I just keep on doubting.
So doubt on both sides, that this greatest gift I seem to be getting so simply, but I don't seem to be deserving. And on the other side, Father keeps talking about life will slap you, God will push you, all of these things. Even that is not happening. So, kuch to gadbad hai. Huh? Something is wrong somewhere. You see? But if you keep going like this, which is that if you follow just the slightest nudges, then it's not necessary that the slaps will happen. You see? So remain sensitive in your heart and follow his guidance, then you don't need to. Kabir ji said, no. दुख में सिमरन सब करे, सुख में करे ना कोई. सुख में सिमरन जो करे तो दुख आए को. It is not possible for you to be in God's presence and to suffer at the same time. You see, otherwise it would mean that you can suffer in hell, in heaven. You see? You can't suffer in heaven. Heaven would not be heaven. And what makes heaven heaven? His presence. So if you're living with God's light, you're in heaven. You can't suffer. If you're living in the shadow of the mind, then even when you think you're not suffering, you're actually suffering. When you think you're winning, you see, actually it is setting you up for a slap. So these simple things, we all heard this as children. For those who pray when they're happy, then why would they ever need to suffer? It's got a very deep message. If you're living in God's light, then even if you try, you can't suffer. So suffering you must use to bring you deeper into God's light. Can a stream of perceptions make us suffer? Not inherently, no? There's nothing in a perception which can inherently make you suffer. It is the narrative which the mind creates on the basis of those perceptions, which is all the cause of all suffering. So use that to let go of all the narratives and to fall deeply in your heart. Then you'll start to taste such beauty in your heart, it won't matter what the world is doing.
Namaste, Father. It's a report and it's a sharing.
Yeah.
So one time, I was coming in the auto to work, and this guy was driving very roughly, and it was almost at every break he's gonna crash into the other car, right?
Okay.
So he was driving that very dangerously.
Your cab driver?
Yeah,
okay.
Very dangerously, he's braking at every step, going at a speed that you would normally not prefer.
So you prayed really hard?
Yes, Father.
Good.
And it's not just that, you pray, and then your voice or Guruji's voice, stay, nothing's gonna happen. Although I called Anupam and then said, hey, listen, I'm sharing you I don't know if I'm coming back home or not. It was that...
you told him and still it...
Yeah. He said, okay, be careful. No one can do anything in that situation. Nor can I get down. It didn't occur.
You tell him to stop and get down.
I stopped. I told him, Bhaiya, drive slowly. All of that happened, Father.
After that, you could not get down?
No, Father. It was, I was getting late for work and I didn't know when I'll get the next cab. You know, peak hour and stuff. Yeah. So that happened, and of course I was listening to your Satsang coming, and
very good, very good. Would you say that you're in unceasing prayer? See, which includes prayer doesn't have to be, but this is not an excuse, but we have to be true to ourselves. Prayer can just be a quiet prayer. It doesn't have to be in words. So if you're empty, then that is one of the most beautiful prayers. So I was saying till last week that either you are empty all the time or you have to pray all the time. And I realized that actually both are the same thing. Even to be empty is a quiet prayer. It's a very high prayer to be empty. So what is your endeavor? Nobody can be 100%. You see? So what is your endeavor? Are you trying to remain empty all the time? Are you trying to use the ADS or some other prayer all the time? What is the...
Okay. It's sometimes very empty. Yet the word here, there is no word. Like at least there's no steam. It's ADS at many times when your mind is going down.
Yeah.
Only sugar. ADS. Or even two words prayer that I have. I mean, so I like to do every night, and I know that. But again, this is addressed to you, Father. Yes, Father. Oh my Lord, my God, my whole being is yourself. The mind which has been given to me is your consort. The life force, breath, and energy which you have given me are your attendants. The body is the temple in which I worship you. Whatever I eat, when I eat, wear, or do, are all part of the worship that I keep on performing in this temple. Even when this body goes to sleep at night, I feel I am in union with you. Whenever I go on a walk, I feel I'm going on a pilgrimage to you. Whatever I speak is all in praise of you. In fact, whatever I do in this world, in any way, is all aimed at you. So there is no duality in this life of union.
Very beautiful. So do you feel like you are able to remain in His love, His light, His presence all the time or most of the time?
All the time, no, Father, most of the time. I feels like I'm crying. Whenever there seems like an attraction outside, in the sense that involving stories and stuff, again I go back as brain or this stuff. So something like that, it happened, it's not planned really, but it depends on like, even if I'm here.
So why don't you pray all the time?
Because I'm engaged with the identity all the time.
Yeah. Sleep, no trouble. Sleep state, you can't trouble yourself, so we are fine. The rest of the time, is your intention to pray all the time?
Maybe not all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe not when I'm taking calls, clients calls, or sometimes in the bathroom, or sometimes you feel like entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you feel that any activity would be higher than praying or remaining empty for God?
No, I don't feel it.
Isn't it? So, let's make it a deep intention that and a one-pointed intention to just be in his worship. Whether that worship is to be in a quiet prayer of the heart, or to be in a prayer with lips, with words, with the heart chanting the words, because your heart loves to pray, and some of you are sending beautiful reports about that. Or just dwelling in his love, in his sweetness. No matter what may be happening in the world. Now, if you're in a meeting, for example, if you're in a meeting and you have to be engaged, or you're in a phone conversation or something and it needs your engagement, so you may not find that you can do the full ADS prayer or something like that, but give it your maximum instead of your minimum. I don't know whether you heard me saying that. So give it your maximum, put your best foot forward for God, and then He will make sure that nothing in the world goes wrong, or any fear we may have. So if you're in a phone call, for example, then you have to hear what they're saying. There are too many people talking usually on these Zoom calls and things like that. So we don't have the attention to do the full prayer. But if you're doing the Shiva prayer, then you can just Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Sometimes we are speaking and even that is not possible. So one Om Namah Shivaya a minute, that is always possible. Now suppose that you're really engaged fully with something, which itself is very meditative actually, so it's not bad. But even then, try to be anchored with the love in your heart. So simply put, unko chhodna nahi hai, no matter what is happening. And when we forget, we have to return. So let's make that intention very deep. Hanuman Poddar was saying the other day, he left the body decades ago, but saying the other thing, I heard him say the other day that only two things are needed. One is the ekagrata of our intention, and second is the deep faith in God's power. So, if He's truly all that you want, then He'll make His presence palpable to you all the time. And all the time doesn't happen here also. That's why I'm a foolish, stupid beggar, but the intention is there. The intention is there. And so yesterday what happened is that I saw the Shabri episode and I was crying. So my daughter felt like I needed some entertaining. So she said, no, now we are going to watch Rocky or Rani. So both Karima and I watched the movie with her, and she was fast forwarding thankfully. So quickly we watched the movie, and so all that can still happen. I was not saying no, I have to be with God, I can't. If that happens, then that happens, but in that moment that didn't happen. So while that was happening, I was in my prayer, I was feeling God's presence so strongly, His sweetness. There were moments where I forgot and I got involved in the thing fully, but when I remembered, I returned. So let's use every moment of this life, every breath of this life, as much as we can, to be in His love, in His devotion, in His light. So when we are surrendered, that is good. When you say that you are empty for very long periods of time, that's very good. But one experiment you can try is to see that for those who can just be empty, for them to pray is very simple. So one day say, I will pray all day. because I was empty anyway. So then there is no mind resisting it. You see? And then just notice for yourself what happened. So this is good. You feel like, and for all of you who are using the prayer as a path, do you feel like a particular prayer is taking root now? After about, I heard the other day that it's been about a year. I felt it's been some 3 months or something. You feel like something has just taken root where it just chants? Huh? Huh? Yeah.
Yes, Father, but I was saying
Yeah.
also that the Kali prayer
Yeah.
in praying is that taking root of it. And but also sometimes when I hear, sharing about Jesus Christ
Yeah.
and Krishna, I feel like, I want to pray to Jesus because almost because I pray to Jesus and Shiva and then I'm praying to Kali and I.
See, firstly, that we must remember that it's all God. So it's not that serious. You see? Secondly, when something is just taking root, you see, then the mind will come and want to resist that. See, it will come and say, but this, but this, but this. You see, but since we are still early in the process, even a year is a very short period of time, you see, that you can still experiment a bit, taste, get a sense of it. See? And in your love and devotion to God, He will guide you. He will guide you deeper and deeper. You see? So that's why some of you found it, may find it strange that my prayer is the Jesus prayer with Ram as the mantra. You see? So my prayer is, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Bless my heart with the light of Spirit. Ram, 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 Ram. You see? So it can sound like, ये तो पूरा ही पागल है. You know, I can understand. It sounds strange. Like, why would he do that? He's saying that our prayer should be rooted, all of that. You see? But was it strange how, huh? Yeah. So it can seem very strange. How can he be guided by the heart in this strange way? But actually, we have accepted this in many ways. Like even the ISKCON Mahamantra is what? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So why Krishna and Ram? You see? Then you say, okay, but they are the same. But these are also the same. There is literally no difference between Jesus and Ram. See? So it can happen like that in your heart, something may emerge like that. And if you don't have duality in your mind, none of that will make a difference in your prayer. You see? But if you have duality in your mind, then it will make it. So, something here is deeply aligned to the name of God as Ram, but also loves Jesus very deeply. So my heart guided me this way, and at least to me, it's very apparent that it's working. That it is deepening something here. And so, of course, there's a long way to go, but that's how you may be guided. So if you're open, and you're making sure that you're not getting into any mental fantasies or imagination or anything like that, and you're true to your heart, then the prayer itself will teach you how to pray. See? Yeah. Okay.
Father, I'm able to do these prayers that you are suggesting. So for me, it's like I do inquiry, and while doing the inquiry itself, sometimes it's more like just deeply, really praying that please help, please help.
Yeah. Are you trying to inquire unceasingly?
Not unceasingly, for sure, Father, because there are times when I'm working and
But I provided the solution for that. So even while working, if your path is inquiry, So remain empty. Yeah? Then every once in a while, every minute, every 2 minutes, you can ask yourself, no, who am I? Who am I? So we must come to a point where we are in unceasing prayer, whether it is being empty for God in the quiet prayer, through inquiry, or through prayer. Yeah? Then you see that your spirituality, I don't want to create benchmarks, but really starts to, yeah.
Sort of a helping hand, like a form of His presence.
To stay in that presence all the time. Let the world do what it wants. You stay with it. That's the prayer also.
I mean, the only struggle I still face would be this kind of a situation at work where, again, it requires me to be very, very involved in it.
Yes. So what you're saying is that if it's really involved, you're not able to remind yourself every 1 or 2 minutes to inquire. Is it like that? Then you must try. You must try. Because nothing is that involved. But what happens is that if you're going to the mind a lot, then it can seem like we can miss that. So just make sure you keep yourself anchored through the love of God, through being in His presence. Like so many tools are available to you. But not the intention should be not to waste a moment also.
Waking up early in the mornings to wake up to God, that has been very important.
Very good.
It's like really sets that tone.
Very
beautiful, and that itself keeps reminding one to be in that space of heart.
Very good. So one of them, one of the sages I was hearing, they said something very strong, which I didn't want to repeat the other day, but today it's coming more naturally to say. But really was a slap here also, where he said that for some sage like Tulsidas or somebody, to miss one moment of being in God's presence or praying to God was like, for us in the human condition, would be like a child had died. So he said that he would lament so much, saying, what have I done? I've forgotten God for one moment. You see, but this is very, very strong medicine, of course, and right now all of us are beginners, so we must not get pressurized that much. But there will come a point that you will actually see the contrast between being in His presence and living as if separated from Him in such a deep, strong way. And these ones, that I shared this story that, like Tulsidas, Surdas, they used to consider themselves to be big, big sinners. You see? And then Hanuman Poddhaji explained that it was because their benchmark changed so much. The benchmark itself changed so much. One moment of separation away from Him seemed too much for them. Yes. So you just have to keep trying. You just have to keep trying, because this is a lesson I am also learning. A lesson I am also learning that we must learn from the lives of great sages, from the incarnations, to be slow to anger. To be slow to anger is something that is very important, and it's a constant work in progress here also. Like, it is the close ones which will trigger you. I think the message has been heard also. So half the question was for me, actually. But we have to keep working at it. We have to pray for it. That we have to start noticing it, and you'll see it'll change. It's not the easiest thing, but weeks, months, years.
So, progressively, like, it has changed.
Yeah.
The way I react to things and my appreciation really major. But yeah, this is something that which is bothering.
Very good. Very good. Once we start to notice in ourselves, then only we want to progress towards changing. It's very good.
Most of my father followed Guru and my Guru, Shiva as my Guru.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing the Jesus prayer.
Yeah.
There's no problem as such, except that sometimes it's break into Mahapatanjali spontaneously.
Yeah.
While doing that, it happens naturally.
It's fine. It's all fine. Remember that the one on the receiving end of it is the most intelligent. He knows. You don't have to worry. So he's not going to judge you at the end of your life. Hey, Jesus prayer के बीच में महावचन He knows us so much better than we do. Don't. Yeah, it's your intention that counts.
Krishna also.
That's Krishna's way anyway. He's the younger one, so he's, you know how younger ones are. I want attention. It's okay. Yes, but okay, after having said all that, just be careful about any visualization and imagination. Don't get into any of that. Don't unless it is leading you to, if you, like we said the other day, that's fine, where you say you use an image to go deeper in your heart, but that image should be used for that. It should not become just image. Because then it's just fantasification in the name of spirituality. Not that you're doing that. I'm just saying that it can.
What is, why is it going on? And let's just accept it as okay now. I will just.
When we come to a prayer where his unperceivable light is what is apparent, then that is a very pristine prayer. I don't want to say the best, because in prayer there is no levels as such. You see, but it's pristine to meet him as the blazing light in your heart, which is beyond perception. You see, to the mind these words are meaningless, but you know them in your heart.
So when I write to him in the morning, I sometimes feel, is it just, am I just catering to my ego?
Yeah. It all depends, it purely depends on what your intention is. So if your intention is to be in service to him, to love him and to deepen in his light, then it's fine. But if you're spotting something in your intention itself which is egoic, then you can ask him for a better way. So it's only that counts. Because people can do liquid japas, written japa. Yeah, beautiful.
Intention is to wake up in the morning and first thing bow down to his grace.
Good. Remember, intention is primary, method is secondary. Yeah, but your intention should never be that this much and not more. Your intention should always be more and more and more, my whole life. Because we cannot say this much is enough. How many of us know how much is enough? I don't know.
What is intention we're talking about? It's like I want a better light than the mind. Yeah. And there's still some selfishness there.
It's okay. You want God to be your guide?
Yeah.
Good. That's good. I don't feel actually it's possible that someone does 1 lakh Ram Japa every day, and even after so much time of doing it, they don't get the power. It's not possible. She probably is not expressing it outwardly in that way. It's bound to deepen.
That was a bit of a
Yeah.
That was a bit of a
Yeah, and all it happened. The world tries to get in the way in some way without realizing. Because the mind plays like that. If you stop working, if you're deeply in sadhana and you're not listening to your mind, then the mind will play someone next to you. Let's tell her that. We must read that Screwtape Letters to return to that book. Because that exposes, the Screwtape Letters is a book by C.S. Lewis, which exposes the Screwtape Letters is a book by C.S. Lewis, which exposes every trick of the mind, how it works, how this man, this man was really exploring himself, finding God's presence, all of that. You see, so he was reading in a library. He was reading a beautiful book. It was getting him closer to the recognition of God. And so Screwtape is the name, like for the mind. So Screwtape sends him a message saying, I think you've done very well. It's time for a break, time to have a bit of lunch. You see? So this man just says, yeah, I'll have a bit of lunch and then I'll return to this. Yeah? So he went for that lunch and then all was forgotten, what he was meeting inside, all of this. The mind has these very subtle tricks. And it doesn't have to come from here only. It can come from a phone call. It can come from somebody. But why are you chanting Jesus' prayer with Ram? That doesn't mean. See? You can shake you. See? But your heart is telling you it is fine. So, just be careful not to get shaken from our path of love. Just keep following the love for Him in your heart. As you follow the love for Him in your heart, it'll be clear. And if it makes you like stupid, then be stupid. Because the mind will say, but this is not rational. Everybody says it must be like that. Faith is not rational. Yeah. And what is the mind's alternative? The mind's alternative is judge your brother and sister. The mind's alternative is to create boundaries, not love. So, this is the highest, best thing you can do. Isn't it? If we can't have our mind empty and be in the silent prayer, open and empty, then best to fill it up with God. Fill it up with God.
Reading well mind. There's two main takeaways. One is filling yourself with God, and then very strongly, one says, give up the belief that the world is real. So he starts with that. He starts with it and he says, when the mind only becomes quiet, give up the belief that the world is real. And then later on again he says, the waking state should be regarded as a dream. Absolutely. Dream is short, waking state long, no difference. Absolutely. And then just one question about, should you, something about, tattvas and stuff, and he says, treat it like you treat rubbish. So anything that takes you away from the self should be discarded. When you look at rubbish, you don't study it. So don't study any of it. So I just wanted to ask, because this is, it's a very, obviously, very bold way to live your life is actually say that, okay, it is only sensations and images. Just submit this and ask for your feedback.
Absolutely.
Very difficultly.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've got to that point.
Yeah. No, it's 100%. We cannot let go of our mind if we take the world to be real. Because then the narratives it offers will have an amount of weight to them. Completely true. Till we don't take this Maya to be Maya, we keep saying that it's the biggest con artist because it's not real, but pretending to be real. And the minute we give it reality, then we will never give up on the Maya. Completely true. It's not possible. Suppose you took this world to be real, then when the mind comes and tells you things about the world, then they will seem attractive for sure. It's all garbage, completely agree.
And nearly all questions fall away.
Yeah.
They say it's all falsehood.
Yeah.
And one can't have any questions about falsehood. Like how do I fluctuate between the falsehood and falsehood? How do I stay in one falsehood?
Yes. So truth value is very closely linked to meaning, no? So what you're saying is that it becomes irrelevant. Therefore, no truth value is also given. Now we have to also make sure that we don't fall into any nihilistic meaninglessness. So meaninglessness must be, true meaninglessness is empty of the notion of meaningless also. See, otherwise you can get trapped in that idea, oh, you are meaningless, this is meaningless. That's not the idea. The idea is to be empty of meaning and meaninglessness. So that is what unreality is. No, because it's very, very common that one of the mind trick is that when you're deepening in your sadhana, it will take you on some like daydream type, hallucination type thing. So don't fall for any of that. Which is very well, maybe I should not talk so much about it. So there is something called hallucination and there is something called vision. So your hallucination will look like a daydream. You can pretend to have a lot of great scenery, but you will sense you will sense two things. One, that it's not coming from your heart, and second is that in its aftertaste, it is leaving a sort of grasping, a sort of specialness, a sort of pride, all this kind of stuff. But if it's a true vision in your heart, a true darshan, then all it leaves is sweetness, all it leaves is love, no pride. Everything should lead to the deeper love, the deeper sweetness, the deeper fire in your heart, the deeper, brighter, shining, unperceivable light. It's all good if it helps there. But I keep reiterating this point because many can just it's like getting home and that last very attractive turn will come. And that last very attractive turn will come. And when we've taken that turn too hard, then you won't listen to me also. Then it's just like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. If it comes from the heart knows best how to pray. So we can trust it. And it's very beautiful, where in the tutelage, in the discipleship of the Sadguru presence within, that which is impossible for our mind to understand, like the nature of Shiva himself, as pure awareness, Nirguna Brahman, the nature of love, all of these things which are impossible for our mind to fathom, are only understood may not be the right word, but grasped in some sense, really grasped in the heart, intuitively, in the guidance, in the discipleship of the Sadguru within. And really don't ever feel like there's a conflict, like Bhagwan, Guruji, this one. They are just in service to that Sadguru within. So our only job is to bring you to that. Because there you fathom all of this. Otherwise everything that is said in Satsang will just be words. And then people get frustrated and make conceptual frameworks out of these words and think that they've understood. So don't fall into those traps. Also what will happen is that other people will just have moments, glimpses of insight, and they say, I have come to awareness, I have realized it. So why are you giving me all this homework now, unceasing prayer? I am it. So those are the dangers of not really coming into the discipleship of the Atma. Where we don't realize it but we become proud. So I'm very happy that you say that in the light of the Sadguru within, all these words are starting to be grasped at a deeper level. Yeah.
There are a lot of things that are coming out that guide me, and I don't want to, just hallucinate or whatever.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to just share.
Very good. That's very mature, because it is also my job to make sure that your guardrails are correct. Because if your guardrails are not correct, then the mind uses spirituality, and especially this kind of devotional, deep spirituality in this way, to take you on some merry adventure. So it's good to keep checking in with me, so we can keep making sure that you're deepening in the love for the holy presence within yourself, in the light of which everything is seen. No, we don't have to remove anything from the appearance. We just have to remove the sense of reality, like you said. So don't have to pray that they should go away. Not real. So reality, if you need to rely on a definition of reality, is the Vedanta 101, which is that which comes and goes is not real. So it doesn't mean that they should stop coming and going. It's just not real, is enough.
It's not me at all.
It's not you, for sure.
It's an object.
At best. At best.